Welcome back to On The Ball. My name is Gabriel and this is Talking Points, the show where we talk about some interesting things that happened over the Premier League weekend, and every now and again we diverge from that, but today we are talking Premier League, and today we have a special guest joining us again. We have got Vince, one of the let's say founders of the deeplyingmidfielders.com blog. You can check out the link in the description. Go ahead, check out the blog, and you can check out a link to the previous video where Vince and I had an in-depth chat about the blog, what it's about, who started it, and just all the fun things that you can think of when it comes to Premier League football and some interesting things, etc. Vince, thanks again for joining me.
Gabs, always a pleasure to be here with On The Ball.
You know, and today, like I said, we're gonna have a bit of a chat about Arsenal, the Gunners, that red side from London, and just some information that's come out recently, like the David Luiz situation, some transfer chats that we've been having. Like, there's been a lot of rumors of players leaving, like Aubameyang to Man United, or things like that. Just so we're really gonna go into it.
This is a mouth-watering episode. I'm so excited.
And I've got a few questions for you. So first thing that I would like to ask about Arsenal, how do you feel about your team? Let's talk prior to the closing of the Premier League. How were you what were your feelings towards them? If you could describe it in 3 words max.
3 words max. I would say excitement, anticipation, but also nervousness. Can I say that?
Yeah, those are some good descriptions. It gives me an idea that you're very hopeful of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal.
100%. Do you know, Gabs, it's almost like that feeling of walking towards a cliff, and you have no idea how high the cliff is, but you know that you're walking towards something. And I think that's the feeling that I had regarding Arsenal in approaching COVID. Approaching the period in which the Premier League was cut, is that I felt like there was progress, but I had no idea what the progress was going to lead to. That's how I kind of describe it. Yes.
I see. And you know what? I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans just have their hope in Arteta. Where does it come from? Is it because he's an Arsenal boy? Is it because he was coaching under Pep? I mean, this man has no first team experience per se. So what is it about the hope that they have in this guy? I mean, it's similar to what Ole was doing, right? He came in, he was the caretaker manager for a little while, but he was showing some results. Maybe his tactics aren't that perfect, but he was showing some results. So 100%. Man United fans were getting behind him. But what was there from Arteta to show, like, you know what, this guy might be the man to lead us forward?
Do you know, there are so many similar, and I'll never repeat this, outside of this comparison, but there are so many similarities regarding Ole coming in and Arteta coming in. Indulge me for a second, okay? So when Ole came in, who was your manager before that?
Jose Mourinho.
Would we agree that under Jose Mourinho's management, I would say Man United had become slightly lethargic, very pragmatic in their approach. And then boom, you had Ole coming in with almost like new energy, new ideas, and that United of old that you knew of, wingers busting across, putting those crosses in, that expansive football, those ideas and those feelings came back. Am I correct?
You're quite correct. Yeah, we were ecstatic just seeing that, there was excitement in the team. I think that's 100%. The right word for it.
Your midfielders passing the balls forward, your wingers making darting runs. So now my team had come from a situation under a manager I even hate saying a name of, Unai Emery, where it was almost painful to watch. You remember that last tenure of Louis van Gaal's period at Man United, where football was an absolute snooze fest to watch.
It was dreadful.
100%. And that's what it felt like for Unai Emery, is that, with us with Unai Emery, is that we'd felt that Arsenal's apple, that fresh, delicious apple, had just started becoming almost foul and rotten,
Yeah.
And then you had a guy like Arteta, who essentially was there when Arsenal's, open inverted commas, Arsenal way, close inverted commas, was so embedded in the club. And you had this idea, you had this guy who's essentially learned from one of the greatest managers of all time in Josep Guardiola. Also, an argument for another day.
Yeah.
But one, he'd learned from him. Two, he'd played against Arsene Wenger, who is just an incredible revolutionary in terms of football. And three, an incredible football brain. And I think we knew that when we started watching the first couple of games, we could see what Arteta was trying to do. You know, a small little thing is that, I don't know if you noticed, but Granit Xhaka was absolutely dreadful under Unai Emery.
Arsenal's worst player.
Absolutely
worst player.
Fast forward a couple of months, who is Arsenal's best player under Mikel Arteta?
Well, I wouldn't say Xhaka, but I'll say that there's been a significant improvement in his game.
Would you not say a guy who has been able to go and do less of the messy work, in a sense, to a guy who's almost basically playing a full back position, you know, and absolutely just dictating play, and his passing range is improved, you know, his leadership on the pitch.
He's definitely gotten better. I'll definitely give that.
100%. You know, I think the idea is that Arteta brought along, and just how the team we finally have a manager who the team is actually behind, who the team is smiling and hungry and happy with and for, you know, and the fans are with him as well, because he was an amazing servant for the club, you know, and to have a guy with that kind of connection to the club, it just makes the job so much easier. Frank Lampard, Chelsea, Ole United, Arteta, Arsenal. It's just it's a match made in heaven.
You know, I said a few months back, I was speaking to a couple of friends. I said that we've got Jurgen and Pep, who are arguably the two best managers in the world right now. Very difficult to compare any other managers to them, especially what they've done with their teams in the past 5 or so years has been nothing short of incredible. But in the next few years, should these managers, the younger ones, you know, the club legends, stay at these clubs, so Arteta at Arsenal, Chelsea, Frank Lampard, Ole Man United, despite me feeling that Ole isn't the man to take Man United forward, right? There's still that bit of feeling that these three are going to be the top 3 managers in the next 3 or 4 seasons.
100%.
It will, at least in the Premier League. I don't know about the entire planet, but at least in the Premier League, it just seems like their DNA was made to be the managers of these clubs.
Isn't it interesting, actually, the route in terms of which our clubs have actually gone, you know, in terms of football management? And I mean, right now, I've got to take my hat off and look at, let's say, United in a sense, in bringing in Ole, giving him that idea, giving him that's we say platform to go and actually build a team. You know, look at Chelsea, you know, for Roman to really go against everything that he believes in terms of the managers he brings in, to go and look at a guy like Frank Lampard and say, you know what, I'm going to give you this opportunity, you know, and not sack him halfway through the season, you know, and also once again Arsenal, to go and give a guy who's, you know, 38 years old, you know, the realms at Arsenal. You've got to look at it and think to yourself, you know, it's crazy how football is so cyclical. You go through moments where you get the Rolls-Royce managers, you know, the Mourinhos, the Guardiolas, the Klopps, and then all of a sudden now you have a new age now where you bring in managers that aren't quite the Rolls-Royce yet, but they are at Rolls-Royce clubs, you know? It's just, it's incredible, and we've got to appreciate the beautiful cycle of football and how everything changes and how nothing is actually predictable.
Nothing at all. That's speaking of nothing being predictable, that's been the story of the season. You know, we have not been able to predict anything that's been going on. And just when we thought that we had it, in Liverpool being so dominating, they get thumped 3-0 by Watford to give them their first loss of the season. You know, so just this story of unpredictability, it's beautiful in a sense as well. We just don't know what's going to happen. Frustrating for fantasy, but just beautiful in its entirety.
100%. You know, it's basically I think the Premier League is so amazing because it's that one series that you can never ever download or watch in advance. You really have to go and watch with someone, you know. And it's I think that's how I describe to someone who doesn't watch the Premier League or football. It's just that one thing that you can never ever watch ahead. You can never ever predict in the future, and you can never actually sit there and think yourself, okay, this is how it's going to end. It's an emotional roller coaster, bro. And I think that's where I think the love of it comes from, is the fact that the air of unpredictability and the fact that anything can happen. The beauty of the Premier League.
It's absolutely incredible. Now, a few more questions that I have for you. So regarding the defensive situation, it seems like David Luiz might be let go on a free. His contract is expiring, and reports are saying that there's no plans to renew his contract. What do you feel about that? What do you think?
Until Sky Sports says it, I won't believe it. But also, I'm looking to my left now, and Sky Sports is saying it.
Well, I guess there's our answer, isn't it?
It's so tough, guys. But also, my mind is in 1,000 different places. During January, we brought in a guy called Pablo Mari, who has an incredible left peg of a ball, incredibly comfortable on the ball, very, very quick, very strong on the ball. But you can see if that guy plays enough Premier League football, that guy is going to be an absolute juggernaut at the back. And then you have a guy called William Saliba, who we spent quite a significant amount of money on for a teenager who isn't at Arsenal yet, who will be joining us at the start of next season. And so you can almost understand the direction in which maybe Mikel is thinking about this. Maybe he's thinking, David Luiz is he about 33 years old, Gabs? Around about
somewhere there, yeah.
Somewhere there. We've got Socrates Papa, who is also the other side of 30. We've got Mustafi, who I absolutely will not speak about in this on your video, because I just don't want to make you lose followers.
Shocking. Shocking. I think that's the best word I can use.
I've got so many feelings for that guy that if I had to speak about it, I might have to hear beep 1,000 times on your videos.
Absolute delight to watch as an avid hater of this team. It's a delight.
I love the fact that you actually advertise the fact that you detest my team while I'm on your channel. It's
I hate them so much.
But the beauty is I enjoy the fact that you hate my side, and I love hating yours too. And that's the beauty of it.
That's what we need to do as football fans.
100%. But I think in terms of just the defensive situation, I look at the David Luiz situation, and I really thought, Mikel, we've brought in a ball-playing defender. Yes, he's prone to making errors. Yes, we know what the negative of what David Luiz brings, but also he brings an incredible amount of positives as well. If you look at the team's leadership on the field, that guy has an incredible amount of leadership. They say in the dressing room, he is absolutely incredible to have there. Those balls from deep, playing in somewhat of a libero position, that Franz Beckenbauer position, being able to bring the ball out of the defense. He's incredible at that. But also for all the good, Luiz also has the bad. So I can almost think that I'm looking at Mikel and I'm thinking Mikel recognized the fact that this guy is the other side of 30. He's only got a couple, maybe another year or two good seasons out of him, and that's him playing at peak condition. But we also have a guy like Pablo Mari that is also coming in. We have a guy like William Saliba also coming in. We have Chris Chambers, who's still at the club, who is also an incredible defender on his day. We've got a Robert Holding, who is incredibly dependable on his day as well. So I think with this whole rebuild phase that Arsenal is in, I think Mikel is actually trying to build his own team versus getting the players from other teams that he's recognized as great, but rather actually putting in his ideas in terms of the players that he's actually bringing in.
No, I see exactly what you're saying, and of course, there's so much that we could speak about. There's so many different players that we could ask about. But for the sake of time, I'm gonna jump straight into the next questions. Keep on hearing your opinions, throw in my 2 cents, etc. Now, because we are talking, I had an idea in mind, and I thought, let me not diverge too much from the question that I'd asked previously. I'd asked about David Luiz, but there's also a potential situation with your captain, your club captain, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. What's going on there? What are your thoughts?
Firstly, I think my knees are a little bit weak from the way you say his name.
Definitely taking that as a compliment. That is
100%. I'm gonna try and say
take that.
100%. Like I say, anyway, but with regards to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang,
there we go. There we go.
Do you know what? We might have to link this channel now to the French connections as well. But it's actually just one of those Gabs where I don't know where we are, and every morning I'm waking up and it's almost a case of denial in a sense that there is no ways that we're going to lose our player. And I think, I was watching an interview with Thierry Henry for BT Sport just the other day, and he was saying, how do I ask Pierre to stay when I left? And I think it almost sums it up right there. Tough one. And
it's such bad luck with these. It's almost like give someone the captaincy and then watch them go next season. Just off the back of my mind, like you said, Thierry Henry, Laurent Koscielny, which I still think was a beautifully controversial way that he left. Robin van Persie, and shades of Robin van Persie is being seen with this Aubameyang thing, because strong links, stronger than most other players, being linked to Man United, which I'm sure is something that you would just detest.
The day I see another player, the day Robin van Persie signed for United, I had a Robin van Persie, I think it was even an 11 jersey, because I had an original one back from the day, and I loved Robin van Persie. And this will be the very last time I say the name Robin van Persie, because he doesn't exist to me anymore. But look, there are shades of that, but I don't see Aubameyang going in that direction. I don't think that. And I think it was, if the name comes to me, anyway, one of the guys that have come in, one of the head guys that Arsenal have brought in, obviously throughout this process, he's gone and said that never again will we find ourselves in a situation where we go and sell our captain or go and sell one of our top players to a direct rival. Those days are over. Those banter days, and I will literally put my head on it that Aubameyang will not go to Manchester United, or we will not sell him to Manchester United. Look, I've got two
things. Money speaks. That's one thing. Money speaks, and we know that Man United have it in abundance, despite my feelings towards that, but that's a discussion for another day. And I'm not sure, how long is Aubameyang contracted at Arsenal?
I believe Aubameyang has we've got another year with Aubameyang. So
to be fair, you did say that not being sold, but he could wait out his contract, and next thing you know, the next season he is at Man United. He's only 30 years old, so he still has quite a few good years left in him.
I think that's the difference between Aubameyang and a certain number 10 jerseyed guy who used to play for my side that went to play for your side, is that there isn't that angle, angst to management, to the club, that, so we say, Robin felt. When Robin was in Robin's last season at Arsenal, Robin started feeling like he was, yes, Robin was captain, but I think Robin started feeling like he was the team. In one of the very last interviews and conversations that Robin had with the management of Arsenal, Robin actually didn't even suggest. He told the Arsenal management who they would sign, who they should sign, otherwise he was leaving. A player is never ever bigger than the club. We know that.
I agree. And
I don't think that Aubameyang is that type of player. Arsenal fans, the Arsenal management, the Arsenal managers have never been praiseful in terms of how they've spoken about Aubameyang, and we are not shy in speaking about the contribution that he makes for our team. If Aubameyang was to leave, would I be upset? Yes. But would I resent him in any way, shape, or form? No, because without this man, Arsenal would not be where it is amongst this whole mess.
But based on that, right? It's not like it's beyond Aubameyang, because the way he left Dortmund is, he is one of those players that he'll try and force his way out of a club. So what's stopping him from getting to a point where he was at Dortmund, or like it was at Dortmund, where he doesn't go to training? Things like that. Now he's rebelling against the club. What's stopping that from happening like it happened at Dortmund? And he has such ill feelings towards Dortmund, so these things can happen. What's stopping him from doing that? And also, just on top of that, you did mention that he's the reason the club is where they're at, despite everything. Van Persie was the same, and I do understand that you were saying how he felt like he was now at a
bigger
position, yes, like big, like it's me, and without me you guys are gonna suffer, which was the case. But a player shouldn't have that sort of mentality. You play for the badge, you play for the club, and you need to respect that. You're a professional, you've got a contract, you signed 100%. This thing. So but what's stopping Aubameyang from rebelling just like he did at Dortmund before he went to Arsenal?
It's very interesting that the story behind Aubameyang leaving Dortmund isn't actually, from what we've learned and from, the little scurries in the corners, it isn't in fact what we read. Apparently there was a lot of trouble also behind the scenes, in terms of the management, regarding the guys upstairs. I mean, let's not get carried away over here. When we speak about Dortmund, and while Aubameyang was there, who would you say the fans' favorite was? The fans' favorite has always been a certain Marco Reus. Would I be right in saying that?
100%.
The fans' favorites have always been the Mario Götzes of the world. So, do you not think that maybe Aubameyang somewhat felt unappreciated in a sense at Dortmund? Based on the numbers that he was putting out there, yet there were guys on bigger salary scales. From what I understand, in terms of his contract at Dortmund, you go and put that next to a certain Marco Reus's contract, a certain Mats Hummels' contract, a certain Götze who had come back now from Bayern. You put them next to his contract, incomparable. Whereas if you go and look at how he's treated at Arsenal, one, by the management, two, by what we put in his bank account, there's just a massive appreciation for the guy. And now being given the armband, yes, there's an Arsenal curse somewhat regarding our armband, and I actually hated it when Aubameyang got that armband, because I thought, oh man,
here we go again.
Here we go again. A sense of deja vu in a sense. But I just don't see him as that type of player,
Yeah.
But we have said this before, I've once said that I don't see Di Maria as that type of player, and we all know what happened with Di Maria at Manchester United.
Di Maria, he's that guy for me whose name I don't feel like mentioning. I've got so much disdain for that man. Every time I think about it, every time just that whole situation comes to how dare he come to our club wear that sacred number 7 jersey, and
100%.
He plays as badly as he did, and he still has the goal to blame Man United for everything bad that happened to him that season. My goodness, it is that guy. I've never, there are few players that I detest more than Di Maria. And
certain Di Maria.
My goodness.
Someone needs to actually sit down and write an article about comparing the unlucky trivialities that we've been able to experience as one, Arsenal's captaincy band, and two, Man United's number 7 jersey post the Cristiano Ronaldo era. That would be a very, very interesting.
It's been absolutely, dreadful. I mean, Valencia put it on just to take it off after a season because he couldn't handle the pressure. And he's a club legend. I'll go so far as to say he's a club legend, but that number 7 jersey just has a different kind of weight to it.
It's crazy how those something that looks so small, is actually just such a massive weight on someone's shoulder, and great players, guys like Memphis Depay coming in, guys like Di Maria coming in. It's crazy how the weight of just that jersey is just so massive after, a guy who I will forever say is the greatest of all time, and Cristiano Ronaldo has worn it, but also a conversation for another
discussion we have to have on another day, because we all know that is wrong, but go on. Go on.
The beauty about you is that you are so stringent in your ways, Literally, if I didn't know any better, I would be like, no, Gabby, you are an absolute Taurus, because it's your way or the highway, and you refuse to believe that anyone's ideas could absolutely trump yours. I could sit here, give you the stats, but you'll still be like, but no, Vince, if we look at this angle.
The thing is, right, I'll take somebody's opinion, or I'll listen to what somebody says, and I'll understand, I'll take all the stats, etc. But if you can't show me like definitive proof of what you're saying, then you just know that you're wrong, because that's the way I see it,
Isn't that the beauty about football, though, is there ever a full definitive answer, because we could look at football in so many different angles. If we're just going to go on goals alone, okay, really, who's the GOAT? But then do we look at the assists? Do we look at the secondary assists? Do we look at the numbers as a whole? Do we look at contributions? Do we look at influence on and off the field? There are too many factors, Gab, so we can have that argument until the end of days.